Jack Harper stood at the viewport of Earth's orbital command station, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of his home planet below. The message from the Galactic Council replayed in his mind. Surrender or be destroyed. They had given humanity 48 hours to decide. "Commander, the Joint Chiefs are waiting," said his aide, Lieutenant Paul Wilson. Harper nodded and straightened his uniform. He was not a tall man, but his presence filled any room he entered. The conference room fell silent as he took his place at the head of the table. "Ladies and gentlemen, we all heard the ultimatum. The Council believes we will fold." Harper's voice remained steady. "They're wrong." General Kate Roberts, head of Earth Defense, frowned. "Sir, their fleet outnumbers ours 20-1. Their technology is centuries beyond ours." "Numbers and technology aren't everything, General," Harper replied. "History has proven that repeatedly." The holographic display in the center of the table activated, showing the massive alien armada positioned just beyond Mars. Hundreds of ships, each capable of destroying a city. Dr. Samantha Wells entered the room late, her lab coat wrinkled from days without rest. Her eyes sparkled with something Harper hadn't seen in weeks: hope. "Sorry I'm late," she said, sliding into an empty chair, "but I think you'll want to hear this." Harper gestured for her to continue. "We've been studying the debris from their scout ship for months," Dr. Wells explained, pulling up data on the display. "Every alien species in the Council uses the same fundamental communication technology: quantum entanglement fields." "In English, Doctor," grunted Admiral Frank Johnson. "They're all connected," Wells simplified. "Their ships, weapons, shields. Everything operates on a synchronized network. It's their strength, but it's also their weakness." Harper leaned forward. "What kind of weakness?" "We can disrupt it," Wells said, unable to hide her excitement. "My team developed a prototype that interferes with their quantum fields. It's like static on an old radio. It doesn't destroy their systems, but it confuses them, slows them down." The room buzzed with hushed conversations. "How effective is it?" Harper asked. "In lab tests, we reduced efficiency of captured alien tech by 60%, Wells replied. "In field conditions, possibly less, but still significant." Harper stood and walked to the window, gazing at the stars. Earth had always been alone in its solar system, a small blue marble in the vastness of space. When humanity discovered they weren't alone in the universe, they had hoped for friends. Instead, they found the Council, a collective of species that demanded obedience. "They expect us to surrender because that's what every other emerging civilization has done," Harper said quietly. "They've never encountered humans before." He turned back to the table. "Dr. Wells, how quickly can you weaponize your discovery?" "We already have. Small scale only, but scale it up. Use whatever resources you need." General Roberts shook her head. "Commander, even with this advantage, we're still outmatched. The Council has conquered 1,000 worlds by making them believe resistance is futile," Harper said. "No one has ever truly tested them. We will." He walked around the table, meeting each person's eyes. "Humanity didn't climb to the top of the food chain by surrendering when things got difficult. We innovate. We adapt. We overcome." Harper activated the communication system. "This is Commander Harper to all Earth Defense Forces. Battle stations. The response to the Galactic Council's ultimatum is as follows: Earth does not surrender." As the room emptied, Dr. Wells lingered. "Commander, you should know, if this doesn't work." Harper nodded. "I know the stakes, Doctor, but sometimes you have to stand your ground, even when the odds seem impossible." Outside, Earth's defensive fleet moved into position. Against the backdrop of stars, they seemed small and fragile compared to what was coming. But they were humanity's line in the sand. The clock was ticking. Major Lisa Winters spread the tactical maps across the table in the underground war room. 3 days had passed since Earth rejected the Council's ultimatum, and surprisingly, The alien armada remained in position without attacking. "They're still trying to intimidate us into surrender," she said, pointing to the holographic display showing the enemy fleet. "They don't want to damage Earth if they can help it. Resources are valuable." Commander Harper nodded. "That gives us time. How's your plan coming along?" "Operation Sunburst is ready for your approval," Winters replied. She activated a detailed schematic. "We've been building something on the dark side of the moon for the past 6 months." The display showed a massive dish-like structure embedded in a lunar crater. "Dr. Wells helped us adapt her quantum disruption technology into a focused beam weapon," Winters continued. "We can target specific ships or broadcast a wider field that will disrupt their entire fleet's coordination." Harper studied the plans carefully. "Power requirements." "Enormous," admitted Winters. "We've diverted reactor capacity from 3 continents. When we fire this thing, half of Earth will experience temporary blackouts." Dr. Wells entered the room, dark circles under her eyes from days without proper sleep. She carried a small metallic box, which she placed carefully on the table. "The final component," she explained, opening the case to reveal a crystal that glowed with an inner blue light. "A quantum matrix stabilizer. Without this, the disruption field would collapse within seconds." Harper picked up the crystal, turning it in his hand. "So small, yet so important." "That's the last one we have," Wells warned. "We had to salvage it from the alien scout ship. If it breaks, we can't replace it." Winters pointed to another area of the lunar base. "We've built in redundant systems and shields, but there's still a risk. If the Council discovers what we're building before it's operational, they'll target it immediately." Outside the war room, Earth was preparing for the worst. Citizens moved into vast underground shelters. Food and supplies were stockpiled, and military personnel took up defensive positions around major cities. "What about the test results?" Harper asked. Wells brought up the data on a screen. "Better than expected. We captured a Council shuttle last month and hit it with a miniature version of the disruptor. Its systems went haywire. Navigation, weapons, everything." An alert sounded, and a communications officer rushed in. "Sir, we're detecting movement in the Council fleet. Several scout ships have broken formation." Harper moved to the central display. "They're searching for something. They must suspect we're up to something." "The lunar base is well hidden," Winters assured him. "We built it into the natural terrain. Unless they do a detailed scan of that specific crater, they won't find it." "How much longer until Sunburst is ready?" Harper asked. 24 hours for full power," Wells replied. "We can fire at reduced capacity now if necessary." Harper paced the room, weighing his options. "No, we wait for full power. One shot might be all we get." On the screen, the alien scouts continued their search pattern, moving closer to lunar orbit. "We need a distraction," Winters suggested. "Something to draw their attention away from the moon." Harper nodded. "Prepare a small fleet. Make it look like we're attempting to evacuate key personnel to Mars. Nothing too obvious, just enough to keep their eyes elsewhere." As the meeting ended, Harper pulled Dr. Wells aside. "The Council has technology we've never seen. Are you sure this will work?" Wells looked at the crystal in its case. "In theory, yes. Their quantum network is their strength and their weakness. Disrupt it, and they lose their advantage. And if it doesn't work..." Wells met his gaze steadily. "Then at least they'll know humans don't go quietly." Throughout the night, engineers worked frantically at the lunar base, installing the final components of humanity's secret weapon. Above them, the stars shone indifferently, while the Council fleet waited, unaware that their overwhelming advantage was about to be challenged. The Council's patience had run out. At dawn, their massive armada began to move toward Earth, their formation spreading out to surround the planet. On every military screen across Earth's defenses, red warning lights flashed as the alien fleet approached. In the command center, Commander Harper watched the enemy advance. "Status of Operation Sunburst: "Fully charged and ready, sir," replied Dr. Wells, her fingers moving rapidly across the control panel. "The lunar dish is aligned and tracking their flagship." Harper nodded. "And our diversion?" Major Winters pointed to a small cluster of blue dots on the tactical display. "Captain Steve Allen is leading our decoy fleet. 12 ships, making the show of protecting what looks like an evacuation vessel." The plan was simple but dangerous. Earth's small fleet would draw attention while the lunar weapon powered up for its first real-world test. If it failed, there would be no second chance. "The Council is broadcasting again," called out a communications officer. The main screen flickered to life, showing the alien commander. Its skin was pale blue, with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. When it spoke, a translator converted its clicks and whistles into English. "Humans, your defiance ends today. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us. Surrender now and become a protected species under our rule. Resist, and we will reduce your cities to ash." Harper stepped forward. "This is Commander Jack Harper of Earth. We choose freedom over submission. Your council has no authority here." The alien's upper eyes narrowed. "Then you have chosen extinction." The screen went dark as the transmission ended. "They're powering weapons," Winters reported, her voice steady despite the tension. "Their first wave is targeting our orbital defenses." Harper took a deep breath. "Begin Operation Sunburst. Tell Captain Allen to engage the diversion." Across the void of space, Earth's small fleet of ships accelerated toward the Council Armada. The aliens responded predictably, diverting a portion of their forces to intercept the humans. "Council ships are splitting formation," Winters announced. "The diversion is working." Deep inside the lunar base, engineers activated the massive quantum disruptor. Power surged through conduits as the dish aimed at the center of the alien fleet. "Target locked on their command vessel," Wells confirmed. "Firing in 3, 2, 1. A pulse of energy, invisible to the naked eye, shot from the lunar surface toward the alien flagship. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, chaos erupted. "It's working," Wells exclaimed, watching the readings. "Their quantum field is destabilizing." On the tactical display, the Council's perfect formation began to break down. Ships drifted out of position as their navigation systems failed. Communications between vessels became garbled. Weapon systems powered down unexpectedly. "Captain Allen reports the aliens are firing wild," Winters said. "Their targeting systems are compromised." Harper leaned forward. "Now's our chance. Order all Earth defense forces to target the disoriented ships. Focus on their engines and weapons." Earth's military responded immediately. Missiles and energy weapons struck the confused alien vessels, causing significant damage for the first time since the conflict began. "Council flagship is trying to retreat," Wells noted. "They're attempting to reset their systems." Harper's eyes narrowed. "Increase power to the disruptor. Don't let them recover." The lunar dish glowed brighter as it poured more energy into the quantum disruption field. 3 alien destroyers collided with each other, their navigation completely failing. Several smaller vessels went dark, their power systems overloaded. After 20 minutes of fighting, the Council forces began a disorganized retreat. What had started as an overwhelming force now scattered like leaves in the wind. As the aliens withdrew beyond the moon's orbit, cheers erupted throughout Earth's command center. They had achieved the impossible, the first victory against the Galactic Council in known history. Harper didn't join the celebration. He knew this was just the beginning. "They'll be back," he said quietly to Wells. "And next time, they'll be ready for us." Wells nodded. "Then we'd better be ready for them too." The Council's defeat spread across galactic communication channels like wildfire. The unthinkable had happened. Humans, a primitive species by Council standards, had repelled the most powerful fleet in the known universe. The response was swift and alarming. 7 star systems have dispatched reinforcements, reported Major Winters, pointing to the long-range sensor data. "We're looking at a force 5 times larger than the first attack." Commander Harper studied the holographic display with a grim expression. How long until they arrive? 8 days at their current speed, Winters replied. They're bringing planet killers this time. The war room had changed since their first victory. Maps and tactical displays now covered every wall, showing Earth's defenses and the approaching threat. Military personnel worked around the clock, preparing for the next confrontation. Dr. Wells entered, carrying new schematics. "We've improved the quantum disruptor," she announced. "By adjusting the frequency, we can now affect a larger area of space. But there's a problem." "There always is," Harper said. "What is it?" "The Council is adapting. Our intelligence shows they're modifying their quantum networks to resist our disruption. The improved disruptor will work, but not as effectively as before." Harper nodded thoughtfully. "They won't underestimate us again. We need a new approach." On the main screen, footage showed massive evacuations underway across Earth's major cities. Millions of civilians moved into underground shelters built into mountains and deep beneath the surface. Schools, hospitals, and essential services relocated to protected areas. "Captain Noah Chen's report just came in," said Winters, sliding a tablet across the table. "His guerrilla strikes against their supply lines are working. 3 Council transport ships destroyed. Minimal casualties on our side." Harper reviewed the report. Captain Chen commanded a small fleet of stealth vessels, striking Council targets throughout the solar system and retreating before reinforcements could arrive. It was dangerous work, but it was slowing the enemy's advance. "What about the Council's internal situation?" Harper asked. An intelligence officer stepped forward. "Our deep space monitoring shows disagreement among Council members. Several species are questioning the decision to escalate against Earth. They fear the cost will be too high." "Good," Harper said. "Division in their ranks works in our favor." Dr. Wells pointed to her new design. "We're installing smaller versions of the disruptor on our defense satellites. They won't have the power of the lunar base, but they'll create a protective net around Earth." The meeting was interrupted by an urgent message. On screen appeared a Council ship, but unlike the others, its design was sleeker, with markings indicating diplomatic rather than military purpose. "They're requesting communication," said the communications officer, claiming to bring a message from the Council High Command. Harper exchanged glances with his senior staff. "Put them through." The alien that appeared was different from the commander they had faced before. This one had green-tinged skin and 6 eyes arranged in a circle. "I am Envoy Zix of the Council High Command," it said through the translator. "I come with terms for your surrender." Harper's expression remained neutral. "Earth doesn't surrender, Envoy. We've proven that." "Your victory was unexpected," Zix admitted. "But the force coming now will not be defeated by your disruption technology. The Council is prepared to offer lenient terms if you submit now. And those terms would be: Earth will retain limited autonomy. Your population will not be relocated. You will provide resources and military service to the Council, but your culture may continue." Harper leaned forward. "And if we refuse, then there will be no further offers. Earth will be an example to all who defy the Council." After the transmission ended, silence filled the war room. Finally, Dr. Wells spoke. "They're afraid," she said. "They wouldn't offer terms if they were certain of victory." Harper nodded. "And they don't know about our improvements to the disruptor, or our new allies." "New allies?" Winters asked, confused. Harper smiled for the first time in days. "Let's just say Captain Chen made some interesting contacts during his raids. Not everyone in this galaxy is happy with Council rule." Outside, Earth's defense forces continued their preparations, racing against time as the massive Council armada drew closer. Lieutenant Amy Foster had never expected to become a diplomat. Before the Council's ultimatum, she had been a communications specialist, translating alien transmissions. Now she sat across from representatives of 3 species, all of whom had secretly contacted Earth after its unexpected victory. "The Proxima delegation has arrived," her aide announced, opening the door to a secure conference room deep beneath Geneva. The aliens who entered were tall and slender, with pale skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. They moved gracefully, despite Earth's stronger gravity. Their leader stepped forward and pressed his palm against his chest in greeting. "I am Nexer, first speaker of Proxima Centauri," he said, his translator converting his melodic language to English. "We come without the Council's knowledge. Discovery would mean our extinction." Foster nodded. "Your courage is appreciated. Please, sit." Also present were delegates from the Tau Ceti system and a reptilian species from a world they called Vex. All three had something in common. They had been conquered by the Council centuries ago and forced into servitude. "The Council has ruled through fear for millennia," Nexer explained. "No species has ever successfully resisted them. Until now." Foster activated a secure display. "This is why you're here. Our quantum disruption technology." The aliens leaned forward with obvious interest as she explained the basics of the weapon that had confounded the Council's first attack. "We can adapt this technology to your biology and ships," Foster continued. "It won't be as powerful as our main weapon, but it will give your people a fighting chance." The reptilian delegate, Saiska, flicked his tongue nervously. "The Council monitors all our worlds. How could we hide such technology?" "We've thought of that," Foster replied. "The components can be disguised as ordinary industrial equipment. Nothing that would trigger their surveillance systems." Meanwhile, across the solar system, preparations for the Council's return intensified. The improved lunar disruptor was fully operational, and Earth's military forces had established defensive positions throughout near-Earth space. Commander Harper reviewed the latest intelligence with Dr. Wells and Major Winters in the command center. "The Council fleet will arrive in 36 hours, Winters reported. "Our deep space sensors show they've modified their ships with quantum shielding." Harper frowned. "Will our disruptors still work?" "Yes," Wells confirmed, "but not as effectively. They've learned from their mistake." "And our new friends?" Harper asked. Wells brought up a secure channel on her tablet. "Lieutenant Foster reports that all three delegations have accepted our proposal. They're taking the technology back to their worlds." Harper nodded with satisfaction. "The Council has never faced a coordinated resistance before. They don't know how to handle it." On the main screen, satellite imagery showed the massive Council reinforcements approaching Mars orbit. The fleet was indeed much larger than the first wave, with several enormous ships that dwarfed anything humans had ever built. "Those are their planet killers," Winters explained, pointing to the largest vessels. "Each one can target a continent from orbit." Harper studied the enemy formation. "They're being more cautious this time, spreading out to limit the effectiveness of our disruptor." A communication alert sounded, and the main screen switched to show Captain Noah Chen. His face was tired but determined. "Commander, my team has completed planting the remote disruptors near Jupiter," Chen reported. "They're disguised as mining equipment, just as you ordered." "Good work, Captain," Harper replied. "Return to Earth immediately." After the transmission ended, Winters looked puzzled. Mining equipment near Jupiter. That wasn't in the defense plan. Harper smiled slightly. "It's part of something bigger. The Council expects us to make our stand at Earth. They don't realize we've been preparing the entire solar system." In the conference room in Geneva, Lieutenant Foster concluded her meeting with the alien delegates. "When will your people be ready?" she asked. Nexer's expression was solemn. "We've been ready for centuries. We just needed hope." As the delegates prepared to depart in their disguised ships, Foster felt the weight of responsibility. Earth wasn't just fighting for its own freedom anymore, but potentially for the liberation of dozens of subjugated worlds. The final confrontation was approaching, and the stakes had never been higher. The Council fleet arrived with overwhelming force. Over 1,000 ships surrounded Earth, positioning themselves in a complex formation designed to withstand quantum disruption. Their planet killers remained at a safe distance, ready to strike if the smaller vessels failed. In the command center, Harper surveyed the tactical display with his senior staff. The situation looked dire. Even with their improved technology, Earth was vastly outnumbered. "They're broadcasting, sir," announced the communications officer. The main screen showed the same blue-skinned commander from the first attack. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of irritation in his species. "This is your final warning," he stated. "Our patience is exhausted. Surrender now or watch your world burn." Harper's response was calm but firm. "This is Commander Harper. Earth will not surrender today or any day. But I propose a meeting between our forces. One location, limited ships. A chance to resolve this without further destruction." The alien commander seemed surprised by the offer. After a moment of consultation with others off-screen, he replied, "We accept. A demonstration of Council mercy. Coordinates will follow." When the transmission ended, Major Winters looked at Harper with concern. "Sir, that's exactly what they want. To draw our forces into one location for easy elimination." "I know," Harper said with a slight smile. "It's also exactly what we want." Dr. Wells brought up a detailed map of the solar system. "Is it time for the final gambit?" Harper nodded. "Send the signal to Lieutenant Foster. Tell her to alert our allies and contact Captain Chen. His team should be in position by now." Throughout the solar system, hidden preparations suddenly activated. Near Jupiter, the mining equipment Captain Chen had positioned revealed itself as a network of quantum disruptors. Similar devices activated in the asteroid belt and near Venus. In deep space, well beyond the Council's sensor range, ships from Proxima Centauri, Tau Ceti, and Vex moved into position. They had been waiting for this moment, their vessels equipped with Earth's disruptor technology. The meeting place was set in Earth orbit. Harper personally led a small fleet of Earth's best ships to the coordinates, making the show of bringing substantial forces while leaving the planet seemingly vulnerable. "The Council commander is hailing us," reported the communications officer aboard Harper's vessel. On screen, Harper ordered. The alien's expression showed smugness. "Commander Harper, your bravery is noted, but misplaced. Did you really think we would negotiate with a species that refuses to accept its proper place?" Harper maintained his composure. "No, I thought you would do exactly what you're doing now." The alien commander tilted his head in confusion. "And what is that?" Focusing all your attention on one place, Harper replied, while forgetting the rest of the board. At that moment, Dr. Wells activated the master control from the lunar base. Every hidden disruptor in the solar system powered up simultaneously, creating a web of quantum interference that enveloped the Council fleet. Their ships didn't just experience communication problems this time. Their entire command structure collapsed. Simultaneously, the allies that Earth had cultivated attacked Council positions throughout their space. The Proxima forces struck Council monitoring stations. Tau Ceti rebels sabotaged supply lines. Vex resistance fighters targeted Council leadership on a dozen worlds. On the tactical display, Harper watched as confusion spread through the enemy fleet. Ships lost formation, weapon systems failed, and in some cases, life support systems began to malfunction. "Enhanced quantum disruptor at full power," Wells reported from the lunar base. "The Council's adaptive shielding is failing." The alien commander's face showed true fear for the first time. "What have you done?" "What you never expected," Harper answered. "We united the galaxy against you. Every species you've oppressed is rising up today." Earth's forces launched their attack, targeting the disoriented Council vessels. Captain Chen's fleet emerged from hiding near Jupiter, striking the planet killers from behind while their systems were compromised. The battle that followed was chaotic but decisive. Without their coordinated network, the Council ships couldn't mount an effective defense. One by one, their vessels were disabled or destroyed. In the command center, Winters monitored the reports flooding in from across the solar system. Council forces are in full retreat. Their command ship is attempting to escape. Harper shook his head. "Not this time. Tell Captain Chen to cut off their retreat path. The council commander made one final transmission, his voice no longer confident but desperate. This isn't over, human. The council spans thousands of worlds. The council high command representatives arrived on Earth 30 days after their military defeat. Their usual arrogance was gone, replaced by a cautious respect that none had ever shown to humans before. The meeting took place in the newly constructed Peace Hall in Geneva, a neutral ground where the future of galactic relations would be decided. Commander Harper led the Earth delegation, with Dr. Wells, Major Winters, Lieutenant Foster, and Captain Chen beside him. Facing them across the circular table were 5 council members, each representing a founding species of their once unquestioned authority. "We are authorized to negotiate terms," began the lead council member, a tall being with crystalline skin that refracted light as he moved. "The council acknowledges Earth's unexpected capabilities." Harper nodded. "Not just Earth's capabilities, the combined strength of free worlds." On display screens around the hall, representatives from 24 formerly subjugated species watched the proceedings. The rebellion that had begun with Earth's defiance had spread rapidly, as oppressed civilizations seized the opportunity to reclaim their independence. "What are your terms?" asked the council representative. Harper activated a holographic display showing the new galactic map. "First, the council will recognize the sovereignty of all worlds seeking independence. No more forced membership." The council members shifted uncomfortably but did not object. "Second," Harper continued, "all council weapons of planetary destruction will be dismantled under joint supervision." "Impossible," protested one of the aliens. "We need those for defense." "For intimidation," corrected Lieutenant Foster. "No truly peaceful organization needs planet killers." After heated debate, the council reluctantly agreed to this condition as well. "Third," Harper said, "a new galactic charter will be established. Not a council that rules by decree, but a true alliance of equals. Each world will have one vote, regardless of its technological advancement or military power." Dr. Wells stepped forward to explain the scientific and cultural exchange programs that would replace the council's exploitation system. Resources would be traded fairly, and technological knowledge would be shared rather than hoarded. The negotiations continued for days, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The council's power had been broken not just militarily but psychologically. The myth of their invincibility had shattered, and with it, the fear that had kept hundreds of worlds in line. 1 month later, representatives from over 200 worlds gathered in Earth orbit aboard a massive station built specifically for the signing of the new galactic charter. Ships from dozens of species filled near-Earth space, their lights visible from the planet's surface like new constellations. Harper stood at the viewport of the station, watching the historic gathering. Dr. Wells joined him, carrying 2 glasses of champagne. "Not bad for a primitive species," she said, handing him a glass. Harper smiled. "We had help, and we had something the council never understood." "What's that?" "The knowledge that freedom is worth fighting for, even against impossible odds." The ceremony that followed was broadcast throughout the galaxy. Each world's representative signed the charter, formally ending the council's dominance and establishing the new galactic alliance. When it was Earth's turn, Harper approached the document. Before signing, he addressed the assembled delegates and the countless beings watching across thousands of worlds. "Today marks not an ending, but a beginning. Earth did not fight merely to defeat the council, but to create something better. A galaxy where every species can develop according to its own vision, where cooperation replaces coercion, and where no civilization needs to fear extinction for the crime of independence." He signed the document, and applause erupted throughout the station. Later, as Earth's celebratory lights shone brilliantly against the night sky, Captain Chen joined Harper on an observation deck. "What do you think they'll remember about all this 1,000 years from now?" Chen asked. Harper considered the question. "Probably not the battles or the weapons. I hope they remember that when faced with submission or extinction, we chose a third path. We chose to change the rules of the game. Below them, Earth continued its peaceful rotation, no longer alone in the universe, but now a central part of a new galactic community. The planet that had once been threatened with destruction had become a symbol of resistance, innovation, and hope. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if welcoming humanity to its rightful place among them. Not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals in the vast cosmic dance. 10 years had passed since the signing of the Galactic Charter. Earth had transformed from an isolated world to a central hub of interstellar activity. Ships from hundreds of species arrived daily, bringing traders, diplomats, and tourists eager to visit the planet that had changed the course of galactic history. Jack Harper stood on the balcony of the Alliance headquarters in New Geneva, watching the diverse crowd below. He no longer wore a military uniform, but the simple blue garments of an Alliance representative. His hair had grayed considerably, but his eyes remained sharp and alert. "Admiring your handiwork?" asked Dr. Samantha Wells as she joined him. She now headed the Galactic Science Council, overseeing the ethical development of technology throughout known space. "Our handiwork," Harper corrected her. "I was just thinking about how different things might have been." Below them, humans mingled freely with beings from across the galaxy. Children played in parks alongside alien youngsters, learning each other's games and languages. It was a peace that once seemed impossible. "The annual summit starts in an hour," Wells reminded him. "The Proxima delegation arrived early and wants to discuss the new transportation network." Harper nodded. "I'll be there." "Any word from Chen?" Captain Chen, now Admiral Chen, commanded the Alliance peacekeeping fleet. His ships patrolled the borders of known space, not as conquerors but as guardians against genuine threats. His latest report came in this morning. The outer colonies are thriving, and the former Council hardliners have been quiet for months. Not everyone had accepted the new order. Several Council species had retreated to distant systems, refusing to join the Alliance. They occasionally made threatening noises, but had not dared to take direct action against the United Worlds. Harper and Wells walked through the headquarters building, passing meeting rooms where representatives from dozens of worlds discussed trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and scientific collaborations. What once would have been decided by Council decree was now determined by open debate and democratic vote. "Lieutenant Foster's diplomatic team is returning from the Vega sector," Wells said, checking her communicator. "They've successfully mediated the resource dispute between 3 systems." Harper smiled. Amy Foster had proven herself a natural diplomat, helping former enemies find common ground. Her patient approach had resolved conflicts that might once have led to war under the Council's rule. They entered the main chamber, an impressive circular room with seats for representatives of all 247 Alliance worlds. The ceiling was a transparent dome showing the sky above and the spacecraft in orbit. At the center stood the Charter Stone, a monument bearing the first article of their founding document. "All sentient beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights." As the chamber filled, Harper took his place at the speaker's platform. Today marked the 10th anniversary of the Charter signing, and tradition called for an address from one of the original signatories. Representatives of the Galactic Alliance, Harper began when the room quieted. A decade ago, many believed this day would never come. The Council claimed their rule was eternal, that resistance was futile, that some species were destined to command while others could only obey. He paused, looking around at the diverse gathering. Earth proved that assumption wrong, not because humans are exceptional, but because the desire for freedom lives in all sentient beings. Our victory was not winning a war, but ending the need for one. A murmur of approval spread through the chamber. "We face challenges still. Unknown regions of space await exploration. Scientific mysteries demand solutions. Cultural differences sometimes lead to misunderstanding. But we face these challenges together, as equals, not as masters and servants." Outside the windows, Earth rotated serenely. The planet that had stood alone against overwhelming odds now stood at the center of the greatest peaceful alliance the galaxy had ever known. 10 years ago, humanity delivered its last warning to a galaxy accustomed to tyranny. But it was not a warning of destruction. It was a promise that freedom, once ignited, cannot be extinguished. That promise continues today and will endure for generations to come. As applause filled the chamber, Harper reflected on how far they had come. From a species facing extinction to the architects of a new galactic order. The universe had not submitted to humanity. Instead, together, they had created something far better than conquest, a true and lasting peace.